What's going on, everybody? You're here with another episode of Big Talk with Leezy with your host, Leezy the Gifted. This is the 34th episode in a row. In a row means I've done 34 weeks in a row of the podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, what's good? Go below into the description, subscribe to the podcast. If you're listening on the pod, you're not watching the video, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like it, subscribe, all of that, okay? This is the first time I'm doing this, so I'm filming this video and I'm going to strip the audio and use it for my podcast. Wanted to try something, where I redistribute pieces of content so that I can work a lot more efficiently. If you guys like it, I'm going to keep doing it. If you don't like it, I won't keep doing it, so let me know if you like it, all right? Cool. That's it for the intro. Today's episode, this is a topic that I feel like this concept is something that is very important and a little bit underrated, under-talked about, undervalued, however you want to say it. So I want to talk to you about how to work by yourself, completely solo. And, I think I'm going to start just by telling you guys why I started working alone. Okay, so the reason that I started working alone, I'm a musician. I first started out, I was just a rapper. Now, if you've heard this story before, I'm sorry, I'm going to just keep repeating it, but I used to just be a rapper. I used to just write lyrics and record my vocals and, of course, perform. And I used to have to depend on producers a lot for beats, mixing and mastering and stuff like that. And it was cool. It's obviously great to collaborate. I'm still very much a proponent of collaborating. The only problem is when you collaborate, you kind of depend on people. And so if people can't follow through, or if you don't agree on something, it kind of becomes this partnership to where you need to meet halfway, which is great. Like, the more you collaborate, you can get things done a lot faster, and you can also get more things done, but it comes at a cost, right? What's the catch? The catch is you got to work with other people. And so, like, if you disagree on something, it's really difficult to get your way. Or for me, it was difficult for me to get my music sounding exactly the way I wanted it to sound, because if the producer doesn't want it to sound that way, it's not going to sound that way, and they have that control. And so the reason that I started working alone, many reasons though. Number one, mostly budget. I mean, the producers I was working with weren't charging me anything, but I knew that I was going to have to eventually start paying for beats, mixing, and mastering if I wanted to keep doing it consistently. So number one was just budget. The fact that I knew I wasn't going to be able to sustain a long career if I had to continue to pay for producers, and if I also wanted to pay for marketing, I wasn't going to have money for that, which is really important if I kept paying for producers. So number one was budget. Number two, just not getting things done the way I wanted to at the speed that I wanted to. I want to be able to produce songs as fast as possible. Really, I want to have that control and ability to produce music whenever I want. So if I want to produce a song a week for as long as I want, like if I want to put out a song every week, I want to have the ability to do that. If I want to just put out an album, right? And if I'm like, okay, I want to put this album out in 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever months, I can do that. I don't have to be like, well, this producer's got all this other stuff going on, I got to wait on them, right? Number three, I also have full ownership of my music. Like, nobody owns my masters except for me. So anytime that I make any kind of money on my music, or anytime I perform my music, I don't have to split that with anybody. Like, it's all mine, right? If down the road I end up getting like some kind of wicked publishing deal, I've never even said the word wicked, I don't know how I thought of that, but if I come up with some like dope publishing deal where some dope record label wants to get a publishing deal with me, I own my masters. So I can own 100% rights to my music. It's great. So that's the reason that I started working alone, right? And I suggest that you try and do as much as you can by yourself. So start with trying to do as much as you can by yourself. And like, if you know me, if you don't, if this is the first time you've heard of me, or this is the first time you're exposed to me, I produce all my own music. So I went from being a completely just rapper, songwriter, recording artist, to now I can fully produce music. I play the piano. I've been learning how to play the piano for over a year now. I can mix, I can master, I make beats, and also like make my own art covers. I use Canva to do that. And and so like, I do as much as I can by myself. Now, like, also I make my own YouTube videos, I make my own podcast, the list goes on. And you might be thinking, that's a lot. That's overwhelming just to think about. But to be honest with you, it's actually not. It's actually hella fun. It's way more fun, because I'll tell you something. What's overwhelming is knowing that you can get more done, but not being able to because you don't have control. That's overwhelming. Real overwhelming, right? It's not overwhelming if you've got full control, right? Because I know the way you think. You think that you know you can get everything done. You know for a fact that you've got the work ethic and you've got the talent and you've got the skills to actually get everything done, but for some reason there's something stopping you up. Well, let me tell you something. It cost me $0 to put out content now. Imagine that. Think about it. Look at the songs that you make, right? Or look at the kind of content that you put out. Does it cost money? It did for me. It cost me money to make songs, right? Now it costs me nothing. YouTube videos, podcasts, songs, $0. I can put out content frequently because it's all based on me, right? Now, I'm not against collaborating. Don't get it twisted, but do as much as you can by yourself. In fact, working alone is going to actually allow you to collaborate more and better. Right now, I can collaborate with artists because I can send them the beat and I can mix it and I can master it. Plus, I could throw a verse on it. So it's actually a lot easier for me to collaborate. Now, I'm all over the place collaborating because I know I can make the entire beat, write my verse and a hook, record it, send it to them, be like, hey, I got everything. Give me your verse back. They send me a verse back, boom, we've got a song. It's quick, it's cheap, it doesn't cost anything. Plus, we own full rights to the song. I don't know how it can get any better than that. Okay, so this is what I'll say though. Eventually, I think you'll get to a point where you're gonna pay somebody. And the reason I say I think is because it's not true for everybody. Some people just stay solo forever. It depends on your goals. It's gotta line up with what you wanna do. See, for me, I wanna own my own business. I don't wanna just work by myself, which is weird because it's hard for me to work with people, but at the same time, I know for a fact that I want to own my own business. I want to have employees because I want to impact people, inspire people, and you know, I know it's rough. I know it's hard to have that responsibility of people's livelihoods, but I do want that responsibility because I believe that that's where my path is taking me, and I believe that that's how you make a real impact in the world. Not just affecting people who are fans of yours, but having employees where you're responsible for the food that goes on their families' tables. I think that's cool. It's tough. It's scary. That's a scary thought for me, but I think that's great. But for me to accomplish that, I got to start paying people, right? I got to expand my business. I got to expand the services. I got to expand the value that I offer to you, right? So I think here's my stance on when to start paying people. You need to, first off, before you even think about paying people, well, you could think about paying people, but before you actually pay somebody, max out completely your solo efforts. Max out completely. I knew as a songwriter and a rapper, I was definitely not maxing out my talent. I knew, because I wasn't doing that much. I was just writing songs, rapping, recording, and putting out music. But I wasn't maxing out my efforts, right? I honestly still kind of think I'm not in some ways, right? But that's just because I'm like that. I'm hard on myself. Max out your efforts. Max out what you can do. I'm at the point where I feel like sometimes I feel like I'm not, but most of the time I feel like I'm completely maxing out what I'm doing. I'm making the songs, right? I'm like writing the songs, playing the piano, making the beats, writing lyrics, recording, mixing, mastering, making the photo cover, marketing. Like I'm doing so much. Plus I've got YouTube and podcasts that I'm doing. Kind of feels like I'm maxing out, right? Now, there's parts though of that process that I'm missing. My getting traffic, which is like Facebook, Instagram, like ads, Facebook ads / Instagram ads, Google ads, SEO, email marketing, all that stuff. That's stuff that I need to either learn, pay to learn, or pay somebody to do, right? I've spent all of 2018 learning all that stuff. Now, where I've gone now is, so I paid to have a coach. So coaching is kind of interesting. I paid somebody I paid this guy, his name is Gabe Schillinger, he goes by The Legion. The Legion is a super dope producer. He's made a ton of money producing, he has his own music production company. I paid him, you know, to coach me on how to build my music production business. So I'm not paying him to do the work for me. I'm paying him to teach me and set out kind of a roadmap for me on where I should go. It's kind of like paying for structure and information in a way. So this is not the first time I've paid somebody, but this is absolutely the first time that I've paid somebody and felt really satisfied with the direction that I'm going in. So when to start paying somebody, if at all, is if you're really, 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 really stuck on something. Like if you're stuck on, like I was stuck on, okay, I have production skills and I'm a rapper. Do I want to go start monetizing my music? Do I want to start monetizing my music production? Like, where do I go? I feel as though it's a lot easier for me to start monetizing music production because there's just a really clear value that I'd be offering. Whereas with my music, it's a little bit more blurry of what's the value I'm really offering, right? That's just my opinion, to each his own. So I said, okay, I'm a little unclear though. Do I go this direction, this direction, this direction? I'm all over the place. I was confused. So I paid for a coach so that Gabe could coach me and give me that direction. So that to me, you start paying someone when you've either maxed out your efforts completely, where you're like, dude, I cannot do anymore. Or you're a little bit lost and you're stuck and you need some either motivation or you need structure, or you need a little bit of like, you need guidance. That's when I could say you start paying somebody. But you got to be real honest with yourself. Are you really maxing out your efforts? Do you really not know where you're going? So I'm going to talk more about the tough parts about working alone. Look, there's some very difficult parts about working alone. I'll tell you from my own experience. Ooh, it gets lonely. Meaning, man, I feel like I'm completely by myself. I want feedback, but I don't know. You know, I want that feedback, but at the same time, I don't want feedback to hold me back. So one of the tough parts about working alone is waiting on people's feedback, and then also like even believing their feedback. Like I have another homie whose name is Gabe, not the same Gabe I was just talking about, different Gabe, but who's one of my best friends. And Gabe and I have he goes by A Gabe, by the way. I've produced some of his music. He puts out music. He's an artist, super dope. He and I have way different tastes in the type of music we like. So when I have a song that I'm working on and I think it's super dope because I like it, he'll come in and he might say, look, I don't like the song because it's just not my flavor, but I do think it's a good song, right? Or if he'll come in and say, you know, I just don't like, I have a song out called Where Can I Go? I got really great feedback from that song from most of you, which I really appreciate. I did a music video, I did a behind the scenes video for it, I did a lot, and I thought it was a great project. When I showed that song to Gabe, Gabe was like, I don't really like this song. Like, I don't think it's that good. He has different feedback, but I thought in my head, okay, how much feedback can I really listen to from Gabe, because he doesn't like this type of music to begin with. So sometimes I'll listen to his feedback, right? Like sometimes I won't listen to his feedback though, because I know that's just not, I gotta take it with a grain of salt. I've listened to Gabe's feedback many, many, many other times, and it's actually really helped my songs. Like I have another song called, anyway, I'm going off. So tough parts about working alone, when to listen to people's feedback, if you should listen to people's feedback. It's also really hard to get everything done without having anyone helping you with scheduling, without having people help you with those parts of the process. It's hella hard. So it's just difficult. I don't know what else to say. The benefits of working alone though, there's way more benefits to working alone. You don't have to wait for people, ever. You get things done, you have no one else to blame, which is kind of a dichotomy. That's also a tough part. You don't have anyone else to blame. If you're working alone and you're not getting things done, that's on you. There's no person to blame. There's nobody around to go, man, nah, that's their fault. That's the producer's fault, or that's the mix engineer's fault. That's the film guy's fault. Ain't nobody's fault but yours, which is cool. I like having that responsibility, because that means that when I become successful, there's nobody else to give credit to but me. But that's obviously not 100% true. Anybody who's supporting me, you watching, I credit that to you. But what I'm saying is, you can take way more pride in your success because you know how much of it you did by yourself. Don't be a narcissistic douche and be like, I did this all on my own, I didn't have nobody's help. Like, everybody who's watching and supporting right now, you are helping me. Even though you might not be in the studio with me, but you are helping because you're watching this video, you're showing me support. So that's help right there. But you get what I'm saying, right? So, you know, I suggest you work alone as much as you can, right? Let's just quickly review what I just talked about. Why I started working alone, so I could get more things done, so I could have more ownership, and so I could have more pride in my success. The next thing I talk about, when to start paying people, if you've completely maxed out your solo efforts, or you need some guidance and you're a little confused. Tough parts about working alone: when you get people's feedback, you got to take it with a grain of salt. You also have to actually do all the work by yourself, which is really, really, really overwhelming. But the benefits: you get to take all the pride in the success that you've gotten. You also don't have to wait for anybody. You can get things done a lot faster. Plus, you're going to learn a lot more skills that you're actually going to need. All right, so hey, thank you all so much for either watching or listening. If you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you haven't already, subscribe to my podcast. I really appreciate everybody so much for watching and absorbing all my content. If you got some value from it, let me know. All right, thank you all so much. Have an amazing day. Peace.